More stories, more news now.
KLIF News Time 7:36. 8 years ago, Hurricane Katrina struck southeastern Louisiana with a vengeance, forcing thousands to evacuate after much of New Orleans and other areas flooded. One of those evacuees, Robert McCoy, and his wife fled west, ended up in Fort Worth, and thought they'd be able to go home in a few days. Well, they have not ever gone home, and about the same time that they evacuated, Robert discovered that he had breast cancer. I recently spoke with him about his ordeal, which is now chronicled in a new book called Scars, A Man's Battle with Breast Cancer. Robert said he saw the news that a hurricane the size of the Gulf of Mexico was coming, and he and his wife didn't take it too seriously.
My wife and I got on the interstate thinking we'd drive to Fort Worth to visit her mom and just stay for 3 days. And obviously we drove here. It took 18 hours. And just the drive alone, Dave, was pretty terrifying and harrowing. We are an interracial couple, and going through different parts of central and northern Louisiana and then traffic forcing us to touch parts of Mississippi, we saw KKK signs and just very disconcerting things that had us very fearful, in addition to just wondering what's going to happen to the city. A few days later, it was the pollen here in the Metroplex that forced me to go to the doctor. So this is about maybe 6 days after Katrina has already flooded the city. Now, we've already lost the majority of our belongings, and I had lost family members.
At this point, you're not going back to New Orleans right away.
And that's what made us go to the doctor. We was like, well, our insurance is through our jobs. Let's at least go to get something about these runny eyes of ours. And I went to the doctor, and let me preface this by saying, Dave, that in April of 2005, now I'd already noticed like the size of a dime lump under my left nipple, but there was no pain associated with it. Although uncommon, there was no pain.
Breast cancer is something that doesn't occur to men at all.
Exactly. So my mind never, ever went there. It never went there. And so here it is, 6 days after Katrina. I'm in the doctor's office, and he gave me some allergy medicine. He said, Robert, I'm really sorry about what's going on with your city. I love visiting. Look, because you obviously won't be returning there anytime soon, is there anything else that you'd like me to take a look at? And I said, you know what, there is. And I told him about the mask. And Dave, that was pretty much, I can say from that moment, my life changed.
Wow. You were just living in crisis management mode all the time. Yep. With various things going on that none of us would normally ever be plagued with. Breast cancer in men, my understanding is that it's as rare as 1% of all breast cancers.
Yes.
What's your situation now?
This November, I will be 5 years in remission.
Wonderful.
This upcoming November.
That's wonderful. And where are you living? And how have you settled? And what are you doing?
We call Fort Worth home. We live in East Fort Worth, in the Meadowbrook section. Really nice neighborhood. I bring the readers through the journey of apartment living and all the things I would associate it with that. And my story really does a lot about trying to just raise awareness, obviously, with male breast cancer, but just about the need for honesty within family, for us to not suffer alone.
That's Robert McCoy. The new book is called Scars, A Man's Battle with Breast Cancer. It's out now and available on Lulu.com. He expects it to be available on Amazon.com in just a few weeks. Well, one day he was doing voice work for TV cartoons, and the next day his group was topping the charts. Ed Wallace explains with a moment in rock and roll history coming up at 7:54. KLIF News and Information Time now, 7:41.